Hello, everybody. It's Peter Nicholas Dunn, bringing you things once again for an hour. It's the worst part of your week. Joining me, Kristen Ahlenius, fan favorite, joins me to solo co-host the show as Damien is on community duty this week. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Pete.
So last week we lovingly teased you about all of your media appearances. Little did we know at the time how significant those appearances were. So last week when we did the show, we were like, "Oh, Kristen was in a couple different places." We actually got the report after the show.
It was a lot.
It was insane. You were on, dare I say, and I will say, 150 news outlets last week. 150 news outlets, including one that I've never been on, Al Jazeera. I've always wanted to be on Al Jazeera.
That's funny.
So Damien is at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Festival this weekend. It's a big part of his life. It's up near where he lives in northern Indiana. It's a classic cars thing. I'm not a car guy, so I don't know if there's, I don't know what, like Pontiac Grand Ams. I don't know what's there.
I think so.
Kristen, do you have any idea?
I don't know.
I just know I support Dame and he supports that. So vicariously, we support that, don't we?
Yes.
We do. Good morning, Danza and Big Rick Swink. Kristen, what's on your mind this week before we get ready for the show?
Thinking about how glad I am that I didn't know how many places my name would be in advance of my name being places.
I got another one. I got another report this week, just late in the week. There was another big, like you had another big run. Here it is, right here.
The FSA thing?
Yeah, you were on Go Banking Rates. Yahoo News with 63 million viewers. Yahoo Finance with 42 million viewers. AOL with 20 million viewers. And I don't know who's, never mind. I'm not going to comment. You know what I mean?
Fine. Yep.
You know
I know what you mean. Yep.
Like, do they have to load the CD?
Probably. Update their status.
Rochelle. Oh, Caitlin Ahlenius is joining us. Troy Montagnier. And then Yahoo Finzance, which is Spanish language. 286,000 people. Did you even do the interview in Spanish?
I didn't click the link. Did they translate it? Surely.
No say. That was I don't know in Spanish.
Thank you.
Okay. Kristen, I want to let you know that we give personal finance advice for a living, and I've done so for 22 years or so. And I still have to do things in my personal finances to trick my dumb brain. This week, I opened a new savings account to put some money into because I just noticed that my habits have gotten really weird over the last few months. I find myself spending quite liberally, right? And so I needed to pull that back a bit. So I opened a new savings account this week and created a new habit. And I say that because I don't think we can do our job effectively around here unless we are sensitive to our own behavior challenges. So this is my safe space confession.
Having the knowledge does not mean that you're also not human, because so much of it is behavior. So I empathize with that, and we'll talk about it here in a minute, I think.
Oh, well, good. Let's do it then. All right. Show this week. We've got what is a sinking fund? Maybe 2 segments of that. We got an unbelievably awesome email. I don't know what's the adjective there?
It's awesome, but she's also in a really tough place. So saying that almost feels wrong to describe it that way.
Dynamic?
Yeah.
It's something. I don't know. It's remarkable.
That is, well, yeah.
We'll see. And then maybe some student loan stuff, but we hit it so hard last week. It's just like, oh, come on. Yeah, they're forgiven. Maybe unless it gets fought. Then the biggest waste of money week in the news. All right, let's do this little dance. All right. I did some media this week. I mean, when the old man gets back out there doing media, that it's a full court press.
You think Dame's watching the show?
That's a great question. I hope not. It's his day off. I really.
No.
And by the way, Dame,
you know him.
if you are watching the show, I hope you did not take PTO, and I hope you took VTO. I hope you took this as your volunteer day, okay, as opposed to a piece of PTO, whatever that means. Hey, Daniel. Okay. All right. Oh, happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. Kristen, how do you celebrate Labor Day? Food. Oh my gosh. Food. I showed you a picture of me from 20 years ago before the show started.
That you did.
Should I show the people?
Oh, the people would love that, I feel.
Okay. All right. Let me show the people. So, Kristen, here's what I want to make sure. I've shared this picture over the years at various times, and I want to share something before I share it. And it is this. I am not body shaming even my past self. I just need you to know that I look incredibly different than I used to look. Is that a good way to express what I'm trying to express?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I look very different in this photo than maybe what you all are used to. And I'm not body shaming myself. I have a positive body image, both in the past and the present. And by the way, podcast listeners, you have no idea what's about to happen. Here we go.
Oh my.
All right. So this was a young podcast listeners are like, what am I doing? There are actual professional broadcasters who would never do this. And we've got star of Al Jazeera, Kristen Ahlenius, participating in this. All right. So this is me at age 20. The shocked emojis are going up on the stream. This is me at age 22 and 24. And what you'll notice is a couple things. Number one, look at that head of hair. What do you think about that, Christy?
I mean, the deficiency must have set in after age 24, apparently.
Yeah. I was at a different health state in these days. But, here's the thing. I was a college athlete. I was an athlete all through my teen years, adolescence. And so, I still thought I had the metabolism of an athlete.
That's fair.
But it turns out I didn't. I'm apparently wearing President Obama's suit that he caught so much grief over. And my lovely wife, it looks 7 years old. She was 24. So anyway, there we go. There's a little show and tell for you, everybody. Kristen, show a picture of you 20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, don't do that, because then it's like, why? Who's the baby?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Let's start the show. Midwest mushy is what Troy said.
Kind of harsh, Troy.
I mean, come on.
Accurate.
People at that time, people were like, "You're a really good hugger," and it's like, I think that just means that it's like a soft landing.
People do say stuff like that,
don't they? They're like, "Oh, he's such a good hugger."
That's terrible.
A good hugger is the creepiest way to describe someone.
So bad. Oh,
he's a good hugger.
Well, I'm glad you saved that one for the live stream. That was funny.
I want you to know that I get criticism a lot, and occasionally it's things like, just be a financial podcast. Like, everyone's a financial. It's like, I feel you. There's a lot of amazing financial podcasts that are better than ours. But this is what I want to do. And I really don't care if people don't like it. This is what I want. This is my dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever think you wish you were on like a good financial podcast? Have you ever sat and regretted your
my career trajectory?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to be on a stuffy show. Okay. Absolutely not.
All right, well, good. In 3, 2, one. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. And here's what we'll do. We will answer your email. So Kristen Ahlenius joins me as always. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be back.
And I am sending a Slack message to start the show because someone is in our studio and no one else is here except me. And so I'm trying to figure out who it is.
Oh, no.
Probably a disgruntled listener. Good times. Damian Dunn joins us next week. Just Damian and I next week. He is off today. Kristen is off next week. So apparently I never get any time off, but I'm glad that your career is going well, Kristen. Kristen, last week we talked a lot about student loans. This week we are switching it up and we are identifying a hole in a person's finances that can actually be filled with a sinking fund. What is a sinking fund and how is a person supposed to use it?
A sinking fund is similar to an emergency savings account, in my opinion, but the primary difference is that you plan to take money out of a sinking fund, or the money, it would be too much money for your emergency savings fund maybe to absorb on a more frequent basis. So I would use a sinking fund for things like your car insurance if you pay it every 6 months, or maybe you might have a sinking fund for your pets, infrequent expenses that you don't necessarily want to absorb monthly, but that don't really fit in your emergency savings account.
I feel you. So this is planned depletion of accumulated money.
Correct. That was
Now,
much better. Thank you for that.
no, I don't know if it was. I feel like mine was more verbose. Yours was more down to earth. So help me understand this. Is there a time frame associated with the withdrawal expectation of the withdrawal?
Mm, I don't think there has to be. I think it's person dependent because I'll draw on my own experiences. I have some funds set aside in a sinking fund for if I would have a major medical expense for my dogs, for example. To me, that's different from my emergency fund, and vet bills are very expensive, and my dogs don't have health insurance like I do. So, do I hope to never have to use those dollars? Yes. But do I want them to be there in case I need them? Yes. But on the opposite end of that, I also think I put my monthly HOA, because it doesn't come out as part of escrow. My monthly HOA goes in a sinking fund. So I think it just depends on your goals.
So how do you keep track of this? Because if you've got 5, 6, 7 sinking expense, what do we call the expenses? Like, do you call them sinking expense? That doesn't
I
seem like a
don't,
thing.
I
5 or
don't,
6 items. How do you
sure.
keep track of what's for what? Do you have a spreadsheet?
Well, you know that I do, but I also know that that's not realistic for a lot of people. So, one of the other things that I personally do is I put those expenses that I don't really think are going to happen for a while. So, that goes back to like my dogs or maybe a future home renovation project that I might have. And those dollars go in a separate financial institution that I don't have immediate access to. And then I keep a savings account for the dollars that I expect to come right back out of my account. So again, for me, that's my HOA. For you, that might be your car insurance. So consistent but infrequent expenses.
Yeah, like license plates.
Sure.
I think ours are always due in April. Like, got to pay for those, and
Mhm.
depending on the age of your car at the time, can be rather expensive.
Yeah.
I think this is also good for like tuition costs if they're not spread out monthly, or childcare or youth travel sports where maybe there's a big payment due at the beginning of a season. I know that you noted um, pets, and I,
Mhm.
I would like to actually draw a line between expected health care for pets and unexpected health care for pets, and how you fund those differently.
Yeah, because I know perfect time, using my own experience again, my dogs go to the vet next week, and that's their annual expense, and it will be salty. So that amount is in my infrequent savings or sinking fund, but really it probably should be sitting in the other one if I am truly adopting this, which full transparency, I have newly embraced this 110%. So I'm ironing out some of the logistics.
Yeah, I mean, you've had some significant changes in your expenses just as you become a
Yes.
homeowner, and you know, and so you as a personal finance expert have to have the wherewithal to say, I need to take a breath.
Hmm.
I need to slow down, and I need to do something like this. I have to admit, I've had some changes in my personal finances too here recently where I noticed that I was just spending money in a weird way. And so I changed it this week. I opened a
Hmm.
new savings account, added a new element to this. And I think that's the ever evolving nature of personal finance, whether you're an expert or an amateur, is that you have to be cognizant of your habits. And if they start to lead you to a place you don't want to go, you got to implement change.
Yeah. One of the things that we would preach here is if you have a big life event, that you should reevaluate the way that you're spending your money or the way that you're setting up your budget. And homeownership absolutely qualifies as one of those things. So I took my own advice and kind of rearranged some things. And we were talking before the show. I fully adopted the lazy man's budget, which is where you really only give yourself access to the money that you're willing to spend between your pay periods. And it kicked my rear. I had a hard time as I was ending the pay period. I had $12 in my checking account, which is fine because I planned to spend the money anyway, but I certainly didn't expect to be cutting it that close. So it was a good reality check for me.
Numerous times over the years, Kristen, my checking account's gotten down to $50 or
Hmm.
less. And you tell people this. I mean, we're saying it on a syndicated radio show and podcast with nearly 3 million downloads at this point. And you think, wow, people are not going to take my advice because they think I am broke, but we're actually working our system the way it's meant to be worked.
Yeah.
And this isn't about being tedious individuals that are not fun to talk to at parties. At least that's how you are. You are not
Thank you.
fun to talk to at parties. I am actually going to a party this weekend, and I don't. The people have invited me over for the first time. I don't think they understand what they're getting themselves into.
No, you're going to be the first one there and the first one to leave.
Yeah, and maybe between the break, I'll illustrate why this is a poor decision by these people, and so you're going to have to listen to the podcast if you want that. But Kristen, one of the things this solves, very dangerous things this solves, is a very high low balance, a very
Mhm.
high low balance. If the lowest balance you have in your checking account is $1,000 or more at any course of the month, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. It eliminates some of that volatility, which I think can get us into trouble as well. And then back to your other point about, oh, these personal finance experts had $50 in their checking account. I hope the takeaway is that it makes us relatable and that, like, we're just people managing money and using that education to try and make our personal finances better and then using that to apply it to everyday people, which is literally what we do every day.
And I use a sinking fund to fund my jet fuel. I don't. Um, uh, uh, Lifetime Achievement Award winner, all-time listener Jameson down in Texas noted that he uses a sinking fund for federal tax payments, quarterly federal tax payments,
Yeah.
and that's genius, frankly,
Nailed it.
because and Danza noted the same thing, a former listener of the year. It's funny how these two work.
Former.
It's that's what this is about.
Yep.
You should not be surprised by quarterly federal tax payments. And I say this because I have been surprised by them repeatedly,
Yeah.
and that's what can get difficult is you get in these ruts and you have to force yourself out of those ruts. So coming up after the break, here's what's left in the show. We've got a listener email. We've got a little bit of a student loan hack, a little bit, hopefully, if it exists. And of course, the biggest waste of money of the week and the news. You're listening to the Pete the Planner Show right here on the Pete the Planner Radio Network, which of course is something I just made up. All right. Veronica says, I love using sinking funds. Use them for things like vehicle needs, house projects, travel, and
Mhm.
fun. Kristen, I don't know if I've heard them called sinking funds, so I don't know if that's a thing you came up with or what are we doing?
I think our SEO made me call them that.
Who did?
I think SEO did. Conrad.
SEO?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Search engine optimization?
Correct. I think that sinking fund is the Googled term, which is why we ran with that. I mean,
Oh,
I call them that. I don't I don't know that I'm always so concerned about giving like saying that that's what it is. It's just say like, "Hey, I have a separate savings account for these expenses."
are you going to like? Will you be at a social gathering this 3-day holiday weekend?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, like what's your vibe at a social function?
Well, probably pretty different than yours
Okay,
because
well, what is it? I want to
I
know.
well, I'm from the middle of nowhere, Indiana, and if you're also from the middle of nowhere, Indiana, you know that when people get together, they drink beers and seltzers and they play euchre. So, probably
Yeah.
pretty different.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been there. Been there. Here's what we got this weekend. Um, I've been invited over to some friends' house. People that I see a lot, but we don't really hang out that much. I like
Mhm.
them a lot. I've hung out with them in the past, but not in this format. And then another family. So it's 3 couples hanging out, and the kids will all sort of play.
Yeah.
And these people sort of know me by day, if you will. They know of the energy I can put out by day.
Oh,
They
no.
don't know the weekend vibe, right? Which is I
Uh-oh.
am not fun.
Are they
I
gonna
am
be disappointed?
yes. And so now I feel this pressure. Um, I just
Entertainer
feel this
Kate.
pressure that I have to be on because if I
That's
don't,
hard.
it is because I don't like to talk to anyone. Um,
Yeah, because there's a huge difference between Pete the Planner and Peter Dunn.
yeah, I mean, I love everyone from 8 to 6 p.m. 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I love everyone.
Oh,
And I will
no.
I will share my love with you. Beyond that, I'm really tired.
These poor people.
Poor people. And there's gonna be wine, so that's gonna make me more tired. Uh, and if I'm
It'll be
having
great.
wine, I tend to slur my words sooner than maybe my ABV or my what would that be? My BAC would indicate.
My ABV.
I no, really, I'm like I'm fine, but I'm just like, you know what the deal with cheese is? It just gets weird fast.
Oh,
My friend
no.
Julie's watching this stream. She knows. She knows how not fun I am on the weekends.
Well, and
Okay,
they didn't invite that many people over,
I
so
know.
your early exit will be awkward if you do that, so
Well, don't remind me of that.
sorry.
I'm the classic show up at the door and then whisper to my wife right before they answer it, "What time do you think we're gonna leave?" You know, it's like,
Discuss that in the car on the way.
oh, okay. But here's the thing: I want to hang out with these people a lot. I like them. I just can't behave.
But, it's because you're an introverted extrovert.
I don't know what it
That's
is.
why.
Okay. I might be going to London in next April. Did I tell you
Well,
this?
no.
Okay, maybe it's an off the air thing.
Okay.
It just occurred
That's
to me.
fine.
A little family trip. Family trip.
Rick Swink knows. I knew he would.
Euchre is awesome. We used to play euchre all the time. I love euchre. It's
All
very
the time.
Midwest. Let's do the thing. I don't think we got anything left with sinking fund.
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna read the email then.
Okay.
Nothing like show production. There's some really good shows. And what they'll do is they'll have all these things planned before the show and they'll have various like stingers and elements. It's like, now it's time for the mailbag. And I'd rather just like talk about it and figure it out as we go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Not everything
it
has to be
works.
so polished.
I think it's more fun. Gives me anxiety. It's good for my heart.
When you see the word polish, how stuck do you get trying to read? Am I reading Polish or polish?
I was just thinking that in my head, so apparently
Totally.
quite a bit.
All the time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, I mean, I guess it could just be whether it's the P is capitalized, but you just never know what people's relationship with grammar and
Yeah.
punctuation is.
Apparently more than I realized.
In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show, reaching deep into the Pete the Planner mailbag. I'm sorry, that's no good. Kristen Ahlenius joins me reluctantly. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Pete.
Kristen featured in Al Jazeera last week.
It's
Kristen
true.
is our director of education here at Your Money Line. By the way, big news hitting the press on Tuesday, September 6th for Your Money Line. Big press
Oh,
release going
yes.
out.
Yes, big news.
Given that, I guess, you know what? I was just thinking, well, no one will hear this until the show airs on Sunday, the 4th, but then I realized we were live streaming this on a Friday. So I guess I can't give any more details than that.
Probably not, no.
Dear Pete, by the way, I'm reading an email now because I'm about to say I'm a woman of color. And that's an emailer's
Yeah.
statement. Okay. So I'm myself not. Greetings all. I'm reading an email. I'm a woman of color whose family grew up poor. My mom did an amazing job giving us the opportunities she never had. Unfortunately, she had no one to do that for her, and it has really impacted her financial situation currently. She only has $80,000 saved for retirement. She had more saved prior to the 2008 crisis, but she had to cash it out to support us after her job loss. The recession hit Sacramento particularly hard. My mom is 55 years old. I'm now in the place where I can max out my 401k, Roth 401k at work. I get 10% put into my 401k at work, not a match. They just put 10% in. I have a pension, but I'm always terrified it'll disappear one day. I max out my Roth every year, and I can put away an additional 20% just for various savings. I'm not a crazy go-getter. I just want to live comfortably, and luckily growing up poor, my tastes aren't really fancy. I say all this because the one thing I do want to prioritize is setting up my mom for retirement. The question: what are some general guidelines or strategies for kids who want to start to prepare to support their parents in retirement before they actually have to, and when they actually have to? Are there any resources you would recommend, like books or professionals? My biggest fear right now is healthcare costs and how to plan for that without making my mom ineligible for programs for low income earners. Thanks so much for your time. Also, Kristen is a great addition to the show. She's the reason I started listening. Best, Bree. I mean, this is so earlier in the show, I was trying to describe what adjective you'd use for this email. I'm just going to go back to remarkable. I just find it so loving and empathetic.
Mhm.
And I mean, a lot of people say, well, I'd do anything for family, but I don't think a lot of people think like this. So I would start
No.
there, Bree. If you're listening, primarily because Kristen's on the show, I think you're a remarkable person, and anyone in this world would be lucky to be related to you.
Yeah, that was my first takeaway too, is just like you said, people might say that they would do anything, but Bree is literally putting her money where her mouth is. So good for her.
Did you say money where her mouth is because it's Brie like cheese?
Sure. Yeah, I thought that far ahead.
Anytime you're going to assist a family member, I think you have to identify a couple different things. Number one, is the support spot support, meaning you just have to fill in a gap.
Mhm.
You have to give them $5,000 to get by something, or is the support perpetual? And so in this case, it seems like it would be perpetual.
Yeah.
Then the third element for me, Kristen, um, is are the resources that you're sharing going to a person that is resourceful enough to make the best of the resources? So I will note through those lenses, we're looking at both support in perpetuity,
Mhm.
and we're looking at support going to someone that seems resourceful, very frankly.
Yeah. I think I might add in there that you also have to be very mindful. And it sounds like in this case, the emailer would be, but if you're someone listening to this in a similar situation, you have to know right off the bat that there is no expectation of funds to come back to you. These are whatever support is offered, just view it as a gift, in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to go back to an earlier part of the email that it was really early in the email that I think really is the heart of this whole thing. My mom only had $80,000 saved for retirement. She had more saved prior to the 2008 crisis, but she had to cash it out to support us after her job loss.
Mhm.
Think about that for a second. So the 2008 was 16, no, no, what, 14 years ago?
14.
14 years ago. The mom was 41 years old, had a bunch of money saved. The emailer can't be that old.
No.
Right? So, okay, let's do some simple math.
Oh, I'm not good at math.
Well, I'm clearly not either. And it's Friday. I run out of math on Wednesday nights. The daughter, I mean, 35-ish, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe a little young. I mean, wow. So the daughter was 19 or 21. My math is broken. The whole vibe of the show's off. The math's gone. Yeah, I mean, that's remarkable. And so what the mom's sacrifice did was it instilled this sensibility in Bree, the sensibility of which Bree is quite clearly mentally successful and financially successful.
And I talk a decent amount about sometimes when things happen to you, both like your age when those events happen. If Bree was a young adult during the '08 crisis, her ability to not absorb this additional income that clearly she doesn't need today, being that age is probably what led her to be able to do that now. So that's just kudos to her, because not everybody could do that. Not everybody could have that discretionary income and be maxing out their 401k, putting an additional 20% in savings. It's a lot.
I think the tactics that it takes to get this done involve, by the way, I don't have a book that I know of that goes through this. I'm not sure there is one, because I think this is an incredibly unique situation. And I would not recommend even entertaining this idea for 99% of people. And I think based on what Bria shared with us, I think she's the 1% that could potentially think about this. Before I go much further, Kristen, do you disagree with that? You win.
No. No. I agree with you. And I would maybe suggest to Bree that, like, even though it might be an advanced, or you might not be prepared yet for this conversation, but to consider a conversation with an attorney who specializes in this space, because what she doesn't want to do is jeopardize her mom's ability to qualify for programs. And in our community, there's absolutely people who don't believe that like Medicaid planning is an ethical thing. And I am not on that side of that fence. I think in this situation, especially, that's something that they can be mindful of. And then knowing what assets might be protected. Does your mom own her home? Could you be helping her pay off that liability so she has the additional cash flow in retirement? You don't have to sell your personal assets to qualify for Medicaid. So is there something that you can help her with in her day to day? There are absolutely options, but you do have to be tactful about the support that you give her.
Yeah, I mean, that area of law is often called elder law.
Yes.
In look, I always try to pick my words. Like every industry, there's good and bad.
Yep.
Okay. So, Bree, the guidance there was read a lot about elder law online to really educate yourself there. Yeah, Kristen, I think there's a way that Bree can accomplish what she wants to accomplish and repay her mom. But I think the bigger point here is people love to intertwine money and love and money and family, and they get it wrong so often. And I mean, this just seems like a story of which it's gone right. So it's with that, we take a break. Coming up after the break, more on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Is that the fastest segment in the history of our program?
That was so fast. I don't know if it's because we read you read kind of a long email, but we ran out of time fast. Girl. I thought we were going to get to talk about the ethics of Medicaid planning.
Yeah, I don't really want to go there. J.O., Julie, my good friend. Hi, Peter. You are fun, although you used to pull infamous disappearing acts at the end of the night. That is true. So, friends, they'll come up from St. Louis or whatever and stay at our house, and we all hang out, our families. And as the night gets later, I will disappear. It's like, oh, is he in the restroom? And then I won't come back because I'm asleep. And I am unapologetic about that. So this is what I'm talking about.
You're hosting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like, bye. But see, this is what I'm talking about.
No.
I look, I'm a grown man. I'm not like, I've been friends
But
with
you
them.
invited people to
I
your
don't care.
house.
They're like family. They've been
Okay.
friends for 20 years. I'm not. It's like if my sister and her husband, or my brother-in-law and my brother sister-in-law were there, I would disappear. It's all the same. I don't care.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fair.
I give my energy to the, I don't know, nothing, to
Not
fantasy
Julie,
football.
sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Not me.
Yeah. Oh boy, Kristen, we had our fantasy football draft, office draft, and I want to go
Boo.
through the projections of who is
I hope
projected to win this
I
season.
hope Greg's watching.
Okay, Aqua himself. Okay, here we go. These are your money line fantasy football final standings projections. We've got in first place. We believe it's going to be Team Stephen Blackburn. Okay, he's and we've also got in second place Team Matt Lubbers. Third place, Chad Force. Fourth place, is that Madeline? West
Bosco?
Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. She drafted like the entire Patriots team. And so
Yeah. Fifth place is me. Sixth place is Aqua Greg. Now, so here's the thing about Greg. Greg's former college athlete, high achieving college basketball player, getting projected sixth place in the fantasy football draft.
Notice whose name you haven't said yet.
So disappointing. In seventh place projection, we've got Team Miscellaneous, which is
That's
you.
me.
And our beloved Oz bringing up the rear in eighth. Oh, man. Yeah, reading through this. I love art. We got so many great people we get to work with.
Yes, we do. We're very lucky.
And we all make fun of each other, which is arguably a bad idea, but I like it. So it's what we do. Okay. Oh yeah. Let's just do student loan cleanup.
Yeah.
The Fighting Miguels are projected to be fifth. Yes, Todd. I am projected to be fifth, but as everyone's humble leader, I got to make people feel like they have a chance to succeed, even though I will probably win. What?
Okay. Well,
you don't think I'm going to win?
Well, I mean, you seemed a little upset during the draft, so
I wasn't upset. I was just marking my territory, if you will. I mean, if you wish someone food poisoning,
that was rough.
Well, no, it's just fantasy football trash talking. I don't really want Greg to have food poisoning. I just needed him to know that I'm trying to catch him off guard.
Just know that like a snarky look is enough for me. You don't have to say mean things. I'll feel just the same.
I did wish food poisoning on a coworker during a Zoom call.
Yeah, there was a meeting with HR about that.
Okay. Student loan wrap up. For now, we'll put a bow on it. There's a couple elements we need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got to talk about the loophole.
Mm-hmm.
And then does this thing happen? Because now we've got some ideas that this couldn't happen, which is just horrifying. Here we go. In 3, 2. That was a cough, kind of. The throat clear. Sounds out of the mouth. That should be the name of the podcast. Sounds out of the mouth with Kristen Ahlenius.
I don't know.
Why? You don't like that?
Nah.
What would you name this thing? I mean, should we change it from the Pete the Planner Show now that you're the star?
No, I'm not the star, first of all. You're the host of the show.
Okay, no one emails me and says, Peter, so glad you're still on the show. Every piece of correspondence I get is, hey, Kristen's awesome. So
it's just because I'm new. It's fun. It's exciting. I'll be old news soon.
I doubt that. In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show, coming to you for the 14th year, I think, something like that. The show's been on the air for 14 years or something like that. I'm not good with numbers. Kristen Ahlenius, star of the show, joins me. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Pete.
Kristen, me by association, know a lot about student loans and know a lot about what has happened, what is about to happen. And we talked about that all last week. But there are two elements here that I want to discuss today. One is amazing, and the other one's a little horrifying. Mm-hmm. For the people who are otherwise feeling amazing. So I'll let you choose. Do you want the bad news or do you want the good news? Do you want to end with the good or end with the bad? What do you want, Kristen? You're the star.
Well, if I normally like to hear the bad news first, and then that way we can end on a high note. So let's do that.
So this whole thing may not happen. Like this whole, I just ripped the Band-Aid off.
I regret what I said.
Okay, so let's see. Here's, I mean, let me set the tone here, okay? Because let's go real bad, and then not as bad as that, and then we'll get to good. So here's the real
Okay.
bad. We're all gonna die. Okay, so that's the really bad part. We're all gonna die. The next part is the whole student loan forgiveness thing. I don't want to say it's at risk.
Mm,
And I'm not even saying that I want it to happen or I don't want it to happen. I'm just saying, like, for all those people who are really excited about it, it is at risk. Like, it may not happen. It is possible it doesn't happen because there are people who are against it, people of power that may be able to fight it in court. So, Kristen, how much do you consider this?
I consider it because I think you should always be aware of possibilities, and that's just because I'm a hyper anxious individual. But some of the reports that I was reading, and maybe in the last couple, like in the last 48 hours, this has changed, is that I saw that the expectation is that there will be challenges, but that experts in this area are not sure that they hold enough. I don't know if merit is the right word in order to like overturn what the president has said, essentially. I'm not super concerned, but I don't like it. I don't wanna see headlines that say, "Hey, this might not happen," because we only have 4 months to figure this out, and that is not enough time.
Yeah, I think maybe the word you're searching for, there's not enough grounds for.
Grounds, yeah,
Yeah, and that's where I struggle a little bit here is, remember last week on the show, I kept wanting to call this legislation. I kept
right.
wanting to call this a bill, and then I
An
finally
executive
had,
order,
yeah, then I had to finally settle on executive order.
right.
Um, and so whatever, boy, I love that I'm discussing this like I have some sort of legal understanding or like governmental understanding. But I think the grounds, whatever grounds there might be, are going to be based on the executive order,
Mhm.
right? And can the executive order make a fiscal move like this that affects so much? Um, I don't know how helpful this is, but Kristen, where are you at from a percentage chance that this continues to go through versus it is stopped? Where are you at percentages?
Maybe I'm being a little hopeful, but my hope is that it's low, like 10% or less. And that's why it took so long to get here. Because we
Oh,
talked about it last week. The campaign promise was this 10,000. And maybe there's been a lot of behind the scenes, I would hope. There I go again with that word research and conversation that's happened. And that's why it took so long to firm this up. And then that we're okay, that the decision just is what it was.
that's why I have hope for our organization going forward because of you, because I didn't even consider the fact that the reason that this took so long is because maybe they tried to get in front of how it could be. You would hope.
You would hope. There I go again. Famous last words.
And again, I don't know how important it is for me to just like ride the fence here, but I'm what we're talking about right now. I'm not. I don't really care of whether it should or should not happen or be blocked. I'm we're simply talking about the possibility of it. Like
Right.
I don't. We get so caught up in what individual opinions are that it just clouds everything else. So
Mhm.
I don't care. I'm just trying to understand, and I'm with you. I think it's less than 10% chance it gets blocked. I'm around 5 to 7, 5 to 7% gets blocked. Now the good
Oh,
news. The good news is amazing news. Like
amazing.
some might say, some might say
So
it's actually better news than the student loan forgiveness itself. Kristen, let you be the bearer of good news.
the bearer of good news. So sometime into the administrative forbearance, I don't know how many months into it, it became known that if you had made payments during the administrative forbearance, you could actually request a refund of those payments. We came to know this because of the public service loan forgiveness program, but this was an option made available to those who made payments. Now, what you can do, and hopefully they don't close this loophole either, because in my opinion, I think it was an oversight, truthfully.
Hmm.
I don't think that this was the intention, but if you made payments after, I believe the date was March 13th was the
Yes.
official administrative forbearance. If you made payments after that date, you can request a refund of those payments to capture the entirety of your forgiveness award. So if you were entitled to $10,000 in forgiveness, you owe 8,000, but you made 2,000 in payments during the administrative forbearance, you have to go to your servicer directly. You can request a refund of those payments, and then the idea is that you can capture the entirety of that $10,000 forgiveness.
Where this gets even better is a story that you shared with me is
Yes.
that if you are a Pell Grant recipient,
Mhm.
then it goes even further. It goes to
Yep.
that $20,000 of forgiveness where you could get, think of, I mean, this is remarkable. This is the remarkable show this week. Like, I want you to think about this for a second. A Pell Grant recipient had economic hardship, which is why they got the Pell Grant.
Mhm.
They went to school, they got out of school, they started a career, and despite starting with an economic hardship, they're paying on their loans. They're paying on their loans during the pandemic when they don't have to pay on their loans.
Mhm.
And now they're in a position where maybe at first they were sad. It's like, well, I busted my butt to pay off my loans
Yep.
and everyone else gets forgiveness. No, 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 my friend.
No.
You too can get
Mhm.
those funds refunded, those payments refunded, and get the forgiveness. That's the way this loophole works. I think that's beautiful.
I love it. I know someone who is going to have a significant amount now in addition to fund a down payment on a house because of this. So I think it's great.
So those are the two elements that have emerged since we did a whole show on this that we find to be the most important. Oh, actually, I just spoke for our student loan expert. Kristen, what do you find the two things to be the most important?
Well, I actually also have to redact something that I said last week
Oh,
because
yes. Wait,
I
hold on.
know.
Hold on. Corrections with Kristen.
Well, the original announcement from the president listed the change in income driven repayment. The White House fact sheet now lists that as a proposed
Yeah,
change.
no, I'm with you. Okay. So I'm totally with you on that. And there was a lot of ambiguity
Yeah.
when that came out because it was listed on and then it was at the
Hmm.
bottom and it did they changed the language. I think they
Yep.
edited it like a tweet. You see, you can edit tweets now.
I don't tweet, but
Good point. That's why I tried to tag you on a tweet last week, but then I was like 4 people followers. So who are we going to see? Your family's going
I
to
have
see this.
I have one follower because I just reactivated my Twitter like 2 weeks ago.
You're a media darling now. I would probably fire that thing back up.
Gosh, Twitter's hard. People are mean on Twitter.
Well, it's okay. Anyway, so for all your student loan questions, we got you. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. I'll just say this. The coming months, if you have student loans, you need to have a serious look at what your relationship is with this executive order. You
Yes.
need to say, do I qualify? Now maybe I need to ask someone that knows what they're talking about. Do I qualify? Don't
Yes.
just assume you don't, and don't just assume you do. Take the time to find out. Kristen, as you've learned, when people put a couple hours into student loan forgiveness, what
Mhm.
they end up with is student loan forgiveness. If
Yeah.
people want to complain about how difficult it might be and don't put in the hours, they are going to miss out on tens of thousands of dollars of student loan forgiveness.
Yes.
All right, coming up after the break, right here on the Pete the Planner Show, is the biggest waste of money of the week and current events. All that's next on Pete the Planner Show. Yeah, Pete the Planner. Yeah. Oh, there's nothing better than a redaction, an audio redaction. That's not a redaction. It's a, what's it called? Not a redaction.
An edit?
No, it's a correction. No, why did it
Correction.
say redaction? I guess because there's a lot of redaction last week.
Mhm.
Big redaction week. Big redaction guy. I know that Aqua Greg's not listening to the show today because my Slack's not blowing up with leave my name out your mouth. All right, let's keep it moving. I got stuff to do. Sorry, Jeremiah.
I'm on vacation next week. I got to get the rest of my day wrapped up.
Are you going somewhere or are you staycationing?
No, I'm finishing a lot of my house projects. I told Ashley yesterday, I said, listen, I said, the price that you pay for doing house projects yourself, you save a lot of money. But doing house projects yourself means that sometimes your office is just a plywood floor for a month. And sometimes you just have to live with that.
Retraction.
Danza.
Boy, I got a little bit of a headache. I'm just sitting here thinking about, like, maybe that's the problem. Got a headache, so I can't think of words.
How much caffeine have you had?
I had a lot. Need more. I was about to say something. Oh, didn't it occur to you that that $15 or $13 that you were nervous about in your checking account came on the heels of a trip to Vegas?
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but
Yeah,
like,
it did.
you know what I mean?
Well, but the thing is the way I was managing my
Sure.
money, it wouldn't have affected me quite like that. So even though there was a trip and like there was another anomaly thing that happened, I still wouldn't have felt it the same way if I wasn't if I hadn't updated the way I was managing some stuff. So I think it still rings true.
Well, you got big Subway money, you know?
I couldn't afford a Subway sandwich on Tuesday. That's what I'm telling you.
I love it. Okay, let's do a thing. Go to be really blah, blah, blah. I gotta find it. Oh, I just looked at my email. Bad idea.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. Okay. This is a classic biggest waste of money of the week. Like this is a good one, right? This reminds me of the throwback when I came up with this idea back in 2009, I think is when we started doing it. Like this is a classic. It's evolved into this luxury thing, but this is like a classic dumb thing.
I'm
right?
probably going to want it.
Same, actually. I just don't want to pay for it. I'm not saying I'm going to steal it, but 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show is the Craig Hill eyewear stand. Glasses can be stored in drawers. It says drawers in the copy.
Draws.
Can be stored in drawers. I mean, you could put glasses in your pants and on tabletops, but Craig Hill offers a safer solution. Made from cast metal, the eyewear stand features a tilted design that perches spectacles in a designated spot to prevent loss or damage. By the way, I want to be a voiceover guy once I retire.
Don't send him that clip, maybe. Gotcha.
It can hold any frame. Oh wait, hold on. I'm going to go a different voice. This is Mark, the average guy. You ready? This is the take. Okay, here it goes. It can hold any frame style while enhancing workstations and bedside tables with its sleek, minimalist look.
There you go.
Okay, so here's what it is, y'all. It's an eyeglass stand. Like, so I have glasses on right now. I want to show you where I'm going to keep them. On my desk. Like, and there's no danger. Because it says, like, there's nothing unsafe about that. So this is wholly dumb. Like, you don't need an eyeglass stand. Do you, Kristen?
I don't wear glasses, so no, I do not.
Where do you keep your sunglasses in your car?
On my head.
Oh, so you're a big like sunglass on the head thing.
Oh, yeah, if they're not over my eyes, they're up on my head, yeah.
This eyeglass stand is $68.
I was going to guess $50.
Oh, how much do you think it costs?
$50.
Oh, nope, wrong, 68. It is, I don't know. It just seems like an incredible waste of money. There's so many different places to rest glasses that don't involve spending $68 on a piece of metal.
It looks nice.
All right, Kristen, are you ready? What is in the news this week?
Let's just say I'm nervous about this. I'm no Damien.
Have you ever done the news?
I've never done the news.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well.
No, but I think I picked good articles.
Okay, I don't want you to know this, but I'm judging so hard right now.
Then why would you tell me?
Oh, no. I just, I didn't want you to know it.
I appreciate that.
Okay, let's go.
Bank of America announces 0 down payment, 0 closing cost mortgages for first-time homebuyers in Black and Hispanic communities nationwide. Residents in select Charlotte, Dallas, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Miami neighborhoods will be offered the program first. So it's certain neighborhoods within these communities. So the initial headline's a little misleading. But instead, there will be no mortgage insurance, no minimum credit score. And eligibility will be based on utility payments, phone payments, and auto insurance payments.
I saw this article and I have mixed feelings. My first feeling is I love it. My first feeling is I
Mhm.
I think that's fantastic. I think we start to change the wealth gap, which is unfortunate and comes from years of systemic racism. The part I don't like about it is that I get concerned with low down payment programs that an emergency fund isn't present, and then
Mhm.
home ownership becomes harder. Home ownership to me, that down payment is about proving that you have experience saving money, accumulating money, conserving money, because home ownership is really expensive. And so that worries me a little bit. Did you consider that?
Yeah, that part worries me too, and also just where we are with the housing market, that
Yeah,
concerns me as well.
so
Uh,
true.
Now might not be the time to not have equity in your house.
Gosh, I didn't even think about that.
So, like you said, it's so hard because so often I see these headlines and I'm like, I love the end product. And then I think about what we're doing to get there. Because the other thing too is surely the interest rates are going to be higher just by the nature of the way that funds are lent, right?
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about this. It's like, okay,
No down payment.
surface, awesome.
Yeah.
Depth. There might be
Ugh.
no worse time to get people into this.
Yep.
High interest rates, uh, a falling market, and no emergency funds. I mean, look, this show it should be called unintended consequences, but that seems like some hardcore unintended consequences. I'm not being cynical. I'm not being
No,
cynical because I'm for this program. I just think the timing is terrible.
the timing is not
But
good.
is the timing ever wrong to do the right thing?
But, well, that's a tough question. I don't know.
Is the
What
time
else is
listen,
in the
is the
news?
timing ever wrong to do the right thing? That's a great question.
I don't know.
The timing is never wrong to do the right thing. So uh, I don't know. What else is in the news before people turn the station because they feel like my head is in the clouds?
Crypto firm accidentally sends 10.5 million to Australian woman, and it took them 7 months to realize it.
How do they know? Because she was sailing around the world on a yacht?
She did. She bought a bunch of stuff and they didn't catch it. There was an audit about 7 months later. She attempted to have a $100 refund put in her account, and instead they transferred nearly $10.5 million to her. She bought a house. She gave her kids some money. She then transferred ownership of that house to her sister. And the end of this story is that she's required to pay back money, sell the property, and pay interest on the funds.
Wow. Man, that is like it feels like a movie. Like if you know,
So I sent this article to Damien, and he and I did not agree. I don't think she should have to give the money back.
I do. You're up against two old guys.
I know.
What do you think? What do you
But
think you're gonna say?
this company didn't catch it for 7 months. It's not, and it wasn't like she like hacked them and stole it. They gave it to her. They didn't catch it for 7 months. Why should she have to give it back?
How's that different than filing your taxes and having a refund later? You know, or having a have to pay later.
Maybe I'm just salty about crypto. I don't know.
Oh, I don't get me wrong. I sent Dame a message midweek, actually, that I'm not going to disclose in the air, about crypto.
Well, that might be my next news story.
And what else is in the news?
US equities are poised for more pain, and Bitcoin is set to feel the sting too, according to one of Wall Street's most bearish strategists. That is really hard to say, by the way.
Say it again.
Bearish strategists.
Bearish strategist. Yeah, that's
That's
no
hard.
good. Yeah, it's no good.
Um, So, over the past 2 years, the coin has traded in tandem with the relative performance of high to low beta stocks or individual assets that fluctuate along with the broader market. And this expert goes on to say, as volatility continues across risk assets, he expects the token may fall as low as 15,000, noting, however, that the bearish target is not a long term view.
You know, I think, and this is where I have a blind spot, and I'll just admit to it. I think there's nothing dumber than making predictions about the price of Bitcoin.
I
You know what I mean? Like stocks, I actually get they're rooted in something, or at
Mhm.
least they used to be. But like that, boy, that was an old guy comment. How? I mean,
Back in my day.
back in my day when I had hair and a tan suit, um, I well, people like Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin, and I'm like, what? Or it's going to 4,000 based on what?
I don't know. And this whole we can expect it to bottom out and it acts like the market.
Who is?
Based on what evidence? I don't get it.
This is the thing about like Bitcoin expert. No one is a Bitcoin expert. Like no
That's
one is a
harsh.
Bitcoin expert. It's like UFO expert. No one is a UFO expert. There are no Bitcoin experts. Okay. According to Bitcoin thought leader, no. Sorry. And this is the end of the Old Man Gripey show.
There it is.
Starring young Kristen Ahlenius. Kristen, good to be with you. Enjoy your time off next week. Damien will be back co-hosting when it's two grumpy old men complaining about Bitcoin. Sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. Bitcoin. That's how the show ended. What's wrong? I have a question for you. Mrs. Planner and I had this discussion last night, and it's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think aliens exist?
Aliens being like beings not on Earth. Right?
Yeah. Not like they are living amongst us. We're not going to like the lizard people thing here. We're just saying, like, do you believe there is extraterrestrial life?
I want to say no, but like the Earth is pretty small. So how feasible is that? I don't know.
I mean, look, I'm a math guy. Mathematically, the answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
There has to be. You know what? As one of the leading extraterrestrial life experts,
there it is.
And I just want you to know who has one of the largest extraterrestrial life podcast followings on the planet. I have to say, thank you for listening. Like, yeah, I mean, can you imagine? Then the question becomes, well, what's their technology? Are we talking about like single cell organisms? Like, okay, let me go a different place. Are we talking life on the very basic, like, oh, here's a fern? Or are we talking life like, and here's a guy with 19 eyes, but they're not called eyes because they don't speak English. They're called glorks. Like, what are you thinking?
Hopefully they're doing better than we are, huh?
What?
Because collectively, we're not.
Hopefully they're doing better than we are. Huh? That was amazing. My favorite moment in the history of the show just happened.
That's good. I don't feel like that's true because I'm pretty sure that everyone's favorite moment in the history of the show when I watched it back was when I told you that I kind of hated that fidelity thing.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Because that was a genuine laugh.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's be done.
See ya.
Kristen, enjoy your vacation. So yeah, have a great vacation. I won't talk to you next week. Don't check in, please. We'll be fine.
Try.
Who's going to do all the media? Do I have to do it again?
Guess it's you and Dame.
All right. Have a good week. Everybody else, stay getting money.